Oh, amen.
Amen. Yeah.
And he's cracking up with his old age.
Oh, that's good.
Inspired by the lighting yesterday.
Yeah.
And the cookie should.
I sat next to Ernie. Yes, I told him, boy, those Kohanim would be. Then I said, you know what? Maybe they begin to have specialties, the Kohanim. You know, but the guy, you know, in case they didn't get paid enough for the avoda, you know, they could take a sideline like checking people's walls.
To the avoda, they got beef
Yeah, that's
and
paid.
they got bread. You know, they got minchas and.
Checks eyelashes.
Yeah.
But you have to be younger. Sid's too old.
No, he's the one who helps the ladies lift the
Yes. Yeah.
on the mincha sota. He's the one. Right?
Well, it's interesting that they gave up Stota. They didn't do it anymore by Bias Cheney. Because they had too many candidates. They couldn't slot them.
Somebody actually asked me that you know, for that comes to the Shabbos year,
Yeah.
and they asked that question about why, you know, why didn't it continue? And I said,
Because they couldn't slot in enough appointments.
they got too busy.
Everyone says, you know, get before the backup, but Sota, guy who gets involved with Sota is rewarded with the gift.
Is it rewarded with what?
So-
Well, only if she confesses or refuses to drink,
Right.
Right,
or he doesn't want her to.
right. Okay, I'm going to start learning sponsors, and then we'll go into today's Gemara, which should be Kaf Hey, right? Okay. Okay. Year of learning Isaac and Evelyn Blachman in memory of his sister. Chaya Rachel Bas Isser, friends of Leonie Meisem, and Leah Sabra Bas Chanuk Zundel, friends of Melaskotsky, Moshe Zelig ben Mordechai, Martin Lippman and family in memory of his wife Malka Chana Bas Pinchas, friends of Herb Jeremiah Tzvi ben Zev, friends of Sam Coleman, Shmuel ben Yaakov, friends of Gideon Lazinski, Mordechai Shlomo ben Meir. A month of learning by the friends and students of Rabbi Shalom Kornblum, Rav Shalom ben Mordechai, Haran and Mel Haller, in memory of her father, Yosef Eliezer ben Tzvi Hirsch, Mark Scher, in memory of his father, Mordechai ben Menachem Manus, Mark Linder, in memory of his nephew, Eretz Paul ben Surlis, Susan and Ronald Podolsky, in memory of her father, Simcha Buna ben Yeshua, Michael and Judith Poretsky, in memory of his mother, Rachel Bas Avram, Susan and Ronald Podolsky, in memory of her mother, Chaya Bas Avram Dov, B. Pizer, in memory of her father, Yisachar Dov ben Shmuel. A week of learning by Judy Iger in memory of her husband, Aaron ben Shlomo Michael. Judy Iger again in memory of her son, Anshel Yitzchak ben Aharon. Jack Gilman in memory of his brother, Zev Yosef ben Yitzchak. Sharon Glass in memory of her mother, Chaya Bas Avram Bolach. Have a day of learning. Well, no, I don't know if there's today. Let me see. We said today is the 23rd, right? And there is one day of learning today by Shelley Newmark in memory of her husband, Shalom Dov ben Moshe Yosef. May Shamas have an aliyah, crank a refill of the Yeshua Shamatzvei, Chobon Israel, good Ben Shkia. Has anyone heard from Greenberg, Harvey Greenberg? They are back from Pesach?
Who's that?
Really? Because what you oftentimes he would get online.
Oh,
On
Friday
Zoom.
it didn't work.
What do you mean Friday it didn't work?
Ruvain and that somebody named Michael.
Yeah, so Michael
We're
Breben got
talking
on.
to each other, but we weren't with them.
No?
No.
Okay,
And it was such a brilliant cheer,
of course, of course. Okay, I want us to quickly go back. If we said today is Kaf Hey, right? So I want to just quickly go back to the bottom of Kaf Dalet Amud Beis, right? Real quick, okay? We saw that the Gemara presents to us a machloket. That machloket is between, if I remember correctly, Rabbi Yonasan and Rabbi Yoshea. Okay, the two of them argue as to the basis of the parts of the pasuk, as to whether the Arusa and the Shomeret Yavam are, to what degree are they exempt? Okay.
To what degree are they associated with the man?
Well, that's true too, but in other words, since the Mishnah, if we go back to the original Mishnah, the Mishnah which said, Lo shotot v'lo notlot tuba, and the question is the fact that they're saying that both of those women don't have to drink, they don't participate in the sota examination, and the question is based on the fact that they had a machloket there pertains ish, that phrase, and tachat ishech, and that phrase. Okay, and now the Gemara then on the bottom, then it picked up and wanted to show that maybe Rav and Shmuel have the same machloket. Okay, so that was where it pointed. That's where the Gemara was moving. Kishmuel de Amar lo kana ela ledvarim ha'amurim b'parasha. I wanted to re-emphasize that aspect, that according to Shmuel, it was only a limited, it wasn't a full marriage, it was only a limited marriage, okay? That point, okay? That Marka Rabbi Yonah, so therefore the Gemara is suggesting, Ihachi, if that's the case, Lema Rav da Amarka Rabbi Yoshia, we might say that Rav then held similar to Rabbi Yoshia, okay? And that Shmuel holds like Rabbi Yonatan. In other words, okay, all right. So in other words, the question the Gemara is going to get is who feels which is the stronger bond, that of engaged betrothal, kedushin, or that of zika with a yibum. That's what the Gemara is trying to clarify. Okay. So it said right. So at that point, and that Shmuel was going to be like Rabbi Yom. So Amar Lach Rav says, Anna, I can say, Damrei afilu the Rabbi Yonatan. I can even say that I agree with Rabbi Yonasan. Why is that the case? Because you needed a pasuk to exclude the Yavama from being included in the Sota examination, he argues. Okay? Miklal the Ishtoma Aliyatehi. Why? Because he's saying that she is indeed a valid wife. It's a valid relationship of faith, right? So now we can pick up now, seeing that that was the case. We go on to Kaf Hey Amud Aleph, today's daf, and in doing so, we have to deal with that potential parallel, if it's really there or not. And then the Gemara is going to go into the whole rest of the Amud is going to go into another side issue, okay? And it's going to try to bring possible answers based on our Mishnah until we finally get to a section of the Mishnah that gives us a much more appropriate, right, definitive answer, right? Okay? So that's where we're moving. Shmuel Amar. So Shmuel says, Anna, I can always say, the Amrei afilu the Rabbi Yoshia, that I can also say I can agree with Rabbi Yoshia. Mid'itzrich kra le'Rebuye, since it was necessary to include a pasuk, right? To have a pasuk to include it, okay? To include, right? So miklal the love ishto he klal, because as Shmuel said, she's not his really full or complete or legitimate wife, but only, as Shmuel said, it was for certain minimum aspects. Okay? Right? Right? So Ibaylahu. So now the Gemara picks up and says, okay, if we see this, what about other kinds of situations? Are they comparable to Sota or are they not? After all, the whole essence of Sota was in the fact that the suspicion is she acted in a promiscuous manner.
After a warning.
Okay, we're going to
That's
get to that in a
critical.
second, right? Okay, yes, she acted in the promiscuous manner. We understand that, but what was unique about Sota was that the husband A had warned her in advance, and B, he had warned her with a particular person. Okay, so that's what,
With whom she was caught.
right, but those two elements are important, I felt, as we go now into the next part of the Gemara. Okay, so that's why we now have this issue. Ibayalahu. So the question was asked, Overet al dat. Okay, now we have a situation where the woman behaves in an immodest manner, promiscuous manner, slightly different shatim there between the art scroll and Koren's explanation. They both agree that it is sexual impropriety. Okay, but the question is how the pshat was further interpreted. In any case, notice, okay, we're trying to compare the situation of the Overet al Dat with the situation of Sota. Are they really parallel? That is the question I'm asking myself. Okay? Tzricha hatra'a lahafsida ketubata. Oh, einat tzricha. Does she need a warning in order to remove, to nullify her ability to gain her ksuba, or not? Okay. Again, I still keep emphasizing, if you're claiming that Overet Dat is a parallel to Sota, it does not say here anything about it says about a warning, which would be a parallel to Sota from the husband, but it doesn't say anything about a specific person.
Which means that she doesn't drink.
Okay, all right.
But
Well,
he can divorce
we'll
her if
see.
she
We'll
leaves
see
her.
that in a second. We'll see that in a second. Let's not jump too far ahead. Okay. Mi amrin and kevan de overet al dat. Do we say then that she behaved in some sort of immoral manner or socially unacceptable manner for a woman to behave when she's married? Okay, right? He lo ba'ed hatra'a, that she doesn't need a warning. O dilma, perhaps to buy hatra'a. We require that she have a warning. And why? The ihadra ba tahadar ba. Because if she wants to be able to repent, then she's able to repent. Tashma. So let's try first attempt, I'm going to call this, using our Mishnah to come to an answer to that question. Okay? We cite the Mishnah. Arusa v'shomeret yabam lo shotot v'lo notlot ketubah. The Arusa and the Shomeret Yabam, okay, doesn't drink and doesn't receive her ketubah. Mishtehu de lo shatia. We infer from that she doesn't drink. Ha, kenuye mekanela. But it doesn't say that there's no warning. Okay, there could be a warning. It could be that the Arus gives a warning. It could be the brother-in-law gives a warning. Lamai, what's the situation? Lav lahafsidak tubata. Is it not, in other words, to indicate that she's going to not, she will
Now
lose?
back to the promiscuous
Right.
woman.
Yes. It is not to say that therefore there's that parallel to the Arusa and to the Shomeret Yabam, that she's going to not benefit from a ketubah.
If he wants to wash.
No, love him, say, without she.
Hold on, Bob's
Does that
question.
carry over into after she's married fully?
We'll have to wait and see what the
Okay.
Gemara says. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to go into that. Okay, all it wants to do there, the Art Scrolls note, is to tell us, okay, there were the use of the word dat here. Okay, okay, is I'm going to call it this way. it's a general term that is specified in terms of different, I don't want to say levels, but different aspects. We could say dat Moshe, okay? And we could understand that in one perspective. Maybe it only says that she behaves in a manner that's not according to things that are d'oraita, that are Torah mandated, okay? Or we could say dat here could be a broader, she's not following the Jewishly accepted halachic principles as to how a married woman should behave in public, okay? So we're taking that second statement that I just made, right? Okay, so what happens here? Okay, isn't it not lav lehefsida ketubah? Isn't it not to remove the option for her to get the ketubah?
That's the purpose of the husband.
That would be the purpose, right? Okay, Amar Abaye. So Abaye lo osra alav. Abaye says no. The warning comes, okay, to say that she is forbidden to him. Okay, and therefore that's the point. However, what happens? Rav Papa Amar. Rav Papa says, hold on a second, Abaye. Lahashkota keshehi nisu'ah. Here's your question, Bob. Right? No, doesn't. Maybe it comes to tell us, okay, that if the Arus then marries her, or if the brother-in-law takes her in Yibum, okay, maybe then he can force her to go through the
Without a new hasra.
right, force her to go through the Sot examination, because he had warned her prior to the actual act of marriage, however we define that, when she was still either an Arusa or still simply a Yavama. Okay, that's the point. That's Rav Papa's point. Okay, he's suggesting it. Okay, Keditanya, as he cites a Braita, Rav Papa, Ein mekanin la arusa la hashkota, kashehi arusa. We do not warn the arusa or the Yabama, okay, to drink while she is still in that, I'm going to call it limbo or temporary status, okay? Aval mikanin la arusa la hashkota kashehu nisu'ah. But we do warn her, he says, when she, okay?
You can warn her then.
But it doesn't apply till later. Okay, that's the point. Kashehu nisu'ah. Now, Rav is going to respond both to Abaye and to Rav Papa. Okay? Amar Rava, Tashma. But listen to the following Braita, he says. Almanah lekohen gadol. Okay, but this Braita, remember, is parallel to our Mishnah. Okay, so what is he now citing? Another part of what we saw. Almanah lekohen gadol. Grusha v'chalutza lekohen hedyat. We pointed out the other day, remember that those are both prohibited marriages.
But just
Okay.
love.
All right. Okay. And we'll get to right in a moment. Okay. Prohibited marriages. Mamzeret unetina liyisrael. That's another example of a mamzeret or a female netina to a male Jew. Bat Yisrael mamzer ulenatim, or a Jewish woman marrying a mamzer or a male natim. Okay. Lo shotot v'lo notlot ketubah. They don't drink and they don't receive a ketubah. Okay. Now the implication being that those prohibited marriages, they're prohibited b'chadchila. Right. So what happens? Right. Mishtahu de lo shatia. Clear. It's clear that she wouldn't be drinking. Ha knuye mekane laha. Do we say then that a warning is necessary if that kind of woman is behaving inappropriately? Lamai, according to whom? Ila osran alav.
No. for what reason would you give her a warning?
Right, could be. Okay, what's the purpose there? Lamai, ila osran alav. If you're going to say that it's to prohibit her, which was Abaye's answer, okay, that's why I said, okay, right? To prohibit ha'asarina kaiman. It's already prohibited. That's the point. Okay? Ela love lahafsidan ketubata.
Function does it.
Okay, but isn't it then to indicate that no ketubah? So now what happens? Gemara continues. Amar Rav Yehuda midiskarta. He says as follows. Lo. No, he says the understanding is his suggestion. Okay, as what's the point of giving a hasra'ah for the arusa or the shomer dibam?
And also any other
Okay.
forbidden union.
Well, we'll
For
see.
any case where you have a bond with a woman, but you're not allowed to
Okay,
be intimate.
could be. All right, I didn't see either of my sources give that.
Well, it's clear. I mean,
Well, if it's clear, then they should have said it, right?
no, they don't need to. It's
No, I don't. All right. So what's he answers? La'osra leboel kebaal, to prohibit her to the paramour, just as she's prohibited.
to the
It's
man
not
that
clear.
she's married.
Otherwise, the Gemara wouldn't have to say. Okay, that's the point. Can't assume it. I don't want to say it. Okay, la'osra leboel luba kebaal, to make her prohibited to the paramour, just like to her husband. Ditznan, as we learn elsewhere in a Mishnah, the following: Kashem she'asura lebaal, kach asura leboel. The same that she becomes prohibited to the husband, so she is prohibited to the paramour. Okay, and I told you a story about that another time. The other day. Yeah. I told you that I had a situation in a congregation I was in.
No.
Oh, where she wanted to marry the boyfriend after the divorce,
Yeah,
and you said no.
no, she apparently knew enough not to ask me to perform the ceremony. Okay,
Okay.
all right. But this was immediately when I heard that they were getting married. This is what clicked. That. Okay.
So what did they move?
Well, that's another story. They did not move out of town. Okay, they just did not become. She became less active in the congregation. Okay, Amar Rabbi Chanina Misura. Says Rabbi Chanina Misura, Tashma. Listen to the following bright. Ve'elu. So now we're going to get really to the third. Okay, we had one. We had a second one that was based on a Breita that was similar to our Mishnah. Now we have the third attempt to cite something,
Which is later.
okay, which tries to come back, and that's further down in the Mishnah. Exactly. Tashma. Ve'elu shebeit din mikanin leh. And our Mishnah said, these are the situations. This was like our fourth or fifth set, okay? I listed it all when I did the shir yesterday. Okay, me, okay, mikanin lehem. Mi shenit charesh ba'ala, if the husband is deaf. Osh nishtata.
Becomes after the marriage.
Well,
becomes
it's
deaf.
understood after the marriage. Okay, nishtata. He became deranged. Okay. O shahayach habush b'beit ha'asurim, or he was imprisoned. Okay. V'lo lahashkota amru ele leposla miketubata. And there it's clear that in that part of the Mishnah, it comes not to force her to drink, that the Beis Din made the warning, but rather to impede her from getting any kind of ksuba. Okay. Shma mina. Therefore, we learn the following: Ba'e hatra'ah, that warning is required. Whether in this case, I'm going to fill in whether it comes directly from the husband or a court that's acting
in
as
his behalf.
behalf. Okay, Shma mina. Indeed, we learned that. Okay, so it's this example, okay, that seems to be the best possible answer from our Mishnah to our earlier question about the woman that was Overet al Dat, that she does need to have Asra. Okay, we go on now. Okay, the kulhu mai tama lo amre meha. So the Gemara naturally asks, so how come these other guys, why didn't they give that same kind of an answer?
It's so
Right.
clear, right?
Right? Dilma shani hatam delete la imta de baal klal. Maybe it was the fact that they thought that that these examples were a different situation, because there she doesn't have any fear or respect, okay, for her husband in those situations. Okay, right? I had somebody ask me, okay, why dafka these situations yesterday, and I said, because for all you know, if the husband is totally deaf, okay,
You know,
or
he sees no
deranged,
evil and hears no evil.
she could actually have it in her home, have the paramour come to her house. And anyway, all right, because we saw, by the way,
Also,
in
they are not with the Shota and the Cheresh are not competent to
Yeah.
give her the warning.
that could
It
be
wouldn't
too.
matter.
That's an additional, right? I hadn't thought of that. That's
Are
good.
they competent to give a get, or does the
No.
judge give a get?
No, no. Okay, right? Okay. So,
And the guy in jail, I mean, he's in jail. What's he gonna do?
right?
You can't
Okay.
give a get in jail?
He
jail?
could give a get. in jail.
Theoretically,
No.
then.
I've been Ellisville Penitentiary with late Reverend Dr. Greenblatt, where he had. gets
He
written
went to a
Twice.
to
twice.
prison
He
to be
wrote-
able
he
to
wrote the get.
get the, yeah, Okay. right?
Where he lives down in the shadow of a penitentiary.
60 miles away. Come on. Ellisville Federal Penitentiary. A lot
It's
of
a
Jews there.
short trip.
6 an hour.
I bet they have a
Now-
dafni.
They have a big
all
Jewish
the
practice,
frum
blue collar,
Jews. They have a
big,
kosher
big,
Jewish-
big Jewish practice.
Yes.
Oh,
And
wait a
they-
minute,
they're
your
probably
wife's
learning
family
the
is from
South,
Williamsport. That's his famous.
Okay, so we go on now. So we've answered that question, okay, with that third example from our Mishnah,
But
that
the
it's that,
question is,
okay? But we're going to carry the question further. Ibailahu. So now we ask the following. Taking that example of a woman whose behavior is within an immodest framework of halakha, okay, in public. But what happens? V'ratza ba'al l'kaima. But nevertheless, since we said that the purpose of the warning is not to forbid her to the husband, okay? So so we further the question, okay? What about that if he wants to keep her? Mikaima or eno mikaima? Can he retain her or not retain? Mi amrinan b'kpeda de ba'al tala rachmana. Do we say that it was based on the objection of the husband that the Torah is basing this? Vaha lo kaped. And here, if he's not objecting, okay, o dilma, or perhaps kevan de kaped, kaped. Or do we say when he objects, it's an objection? Tashma, listen to the following bright. Okay, again now, our brightest cites that last part similar to our Mishnah, right? Tashma, listen to the following bright. Ve'elu shabeit din mekanin lahen, again, citing the base dins, giving the hatra, mishenit charesh ba'ala o nishtata o shahaya chavush b'beit ha'asurim. Okay, we all know what that is already now. Ve'ima mart, and if you want to say, ratza ba'al l'kaima, mekaima, if you want to say that the husband wants to keep her mekaima, okay, so we therefore question, avdei beidin midei the dilma lo nechale lebal. Is it possible that the Beis Din would carry out an act that wouldn't be acceptable? I'm trying necha there, acceptable to the husband. Stama de milta, the general practice. Kevan de overet al dati, since she is behaving in a immodest manner within a public framework, okay? Minach nechale, it is suitable for him. Okay, he's going to be acceptable to the Beis Din Act.
to the husband.
It will be
Beis Din's
assumed
action is acceptable
to the husband. Yeah, that's what I said. It's acceptable to him, to the husband. Ibaylahu. So now we ask further. Okay, another question. Okay, Baal shemachal al kinuyo. What happens if the husband decides to recant or take back his warning? Okay, that's the Gemara's question. Kinuyav machul o eno machul. Is that warning retracted or is it not retracted? Okay. Mi amrinan bekinui de Baal tala rachmana. Do we say then that the warning of the husband is that the Torah has based it on, again, the recanting or not recanting of the husband? Ubal hamechel lekinuyav, and therefore that a husband is able to recant, okay, his warning. Okay, Odilma perhaps, kevan dekane le meikara, or perhaps because he gave this warning earlier, initially, okay, what happens? Lo matze machile. We say that he's not able to recant it, okay, or to nullify it. Tashma, again, listen to our Braita. Ve'elu shebeit din mekanin lahem, and these are the ones that the Beis Din, okay, are acts on to give this warning, okay, in their regard. Mi shenit charesh ba'ala o nishtata o shayach chavush b'veit ha'asuri. Again, husband becomes deaf, becomes deranged, or is imprisoned. V'iyamart ba'al shemachal al kinuyav machu. And if you're going to say that if the husband recants on this warning that it is taken back, I use that language, avdinin midei the ate baal machile, is it possible, okay, that something would be done, okay, by the husband for such
by the Beis Din on his
okay?
behalf.
In other words, that he would not be comfortable with the Beis Din doing this? Stama de Milton, again, the general accepted axiom. Adam maskim al dat beitin, that a person usually agrees with the opinion and action of the court. Okay. All right. What happens? Tashma. We now continue with a new piece. Umosrin lo shnei talmidei chachamim. We come back now. Okay. But this piece we're going to see, I want us to understand, is not really brand new because well, we had it in Mishnah ago, but we're going to see there's a connection between this whole question of can he take back, okay, or cancel the warning or not? Okay, that's the underlying item here. So what happens? We're taught elsewhere in a Bright that there are two sages that accompany him. Shema yavo aleha b'derech, lest he have relations with her along the way.
Which is a solid form of recanting.
Well, wait to that. V'iyamart ba'al shemachal al kinuyav machu. And if you're going to say that a husband who recants on his warning, that the warning is retracted or nullified, okay? So the Gemara says, lechale, let him go ahead and simply retract it. Lekinuye, uleba'al. And let him go ahead and have relations with her. So Gemara then continues with this line of reasoning, based on this question. Then what's so unique in saying that it has to be two sages that act as the messengers or as
the guards.
The guards, chaperones.
The chaperone.
Okay, that's the point. The Gemire, right? The Ibai, because we've learned that if he wants Libael to have relations with her,
No, that these guys know the
well,
halacha.
we'll get to that. Hold on a second.
That's what the
Yes,
Gemara
yes,
is.
I know. The Gemire that we learned, the Ibai Libael, that we've learned that if the husband, if you're assuming that he can recant, okay, that we've learned that if he wants to have relations with her, what could he do? Amrele, he could tell it to the two sages that I want to recant on my warning, Amrele, and they could then send to him, or they could say to him, you want to have relations with her? Achle, the kinayayich, uba'ala. You want to have relations with her? Fine.
Be my
Go
guest.
ahead and recant on your warning,
Be
and
my
then
guest.
have a good time.
Be my guest,
Okay.
right? Okay.
Okay. Tashma, listen, says the following bright. The Amar Rabbi Yoshia. Now we come back to Rabbi Yoshia from before. Okay. Shlosha Dvarim, Sachli Zeira me Anshe Yerushalayim. There were three things that Rabbi Zeira, okay, taught me that was said by the men of Jerusalem, the sages in Jerusalem. Number one, Baal Shemachal al Kinuyav Machul. A husband that recants on his warning, the warning is recanted, nullified. That's number one. Number two, V'zaken mamrei sheratzu beit din l'mecholo. If there is a rebellious sage that the beit din want to forgive him, okay? Because remember, it's the implication is he's chayav misa, exactly, because not only has he issued edicts or statements or lessons or halacha in against the Beis Din, but he's taught it the people to behave in his approach and not the Beis Din's approach. Okay, so what happens, right? V'zakein mamrei shiratzu beit din limcholo mochlin lo. They may forgive him. Third example, uben sorer moreh, the rebellious son, shiratzu aviv imo limcholo, and his parents want to forgive. Mochlin lo, they may forgive. Okay. Now he goes on to tell his colleagues, but when I came to my colleagues in the south, okay, well, no, Darom here, one of the shatim was that it was actually Yehuda and not Galil. Okay,
I like calling it.
okay, Shebadarom, al shnayim hoduli, v'al zaken mamrei lo hoduli. On the other two, okay, namely the one of the husband being able to retract his warning, that they acknowledged.
That answer is shvach because the din comes from Yerushalayim. which is Yehuda. So how could he travel from Yehuda to Yehuda to say it?
I understand your question. Okay, I'm just saying that. Okay. All right. Anyway, so what happens? Vahodulo, shelo yirbu machloket b'Yisrael. Okay, why did they not accept the idea of acknowledging or forgiving the Zakein Mamre? So there shouldn't be machloket. Okay, Shmamina. From this we learn Baal shemachal kinuyav machul shmamina. And then a husband can recant and nullify his hasra. Okay, now let's go on. Plige ba Rav Acha v'Ravina. There was another argument, okay, between Rav Acha and Ravina. Okay, Chad Amar Kodim Stira. One said that this recanting was doable. I'm going to put that word in. Okay, before the seclusion, machul, then it's forgiven, or recanted. La'achar stira, but if it was after they had the woman and the paramour or the had secluded, ain't no machul. It could not be retracted or nullified.
Which impacts the previous Talmidei Chachamim.
Exactly. V'chad amar, and one says la'achar stira nami machul, that after their seclusion, it also could still be retracted or
Which is
nullified.
why he sent Talmidei Chacham.
Could be. Umistabra, and it seems logical, says the Gemara, Kimanda Amar Ena Eno Machul. And it seems more logical to accept the view of the one who said that it is not nullified. Notice, by the way, the Gemara doesn't tell us who held which opinion. Okay? Mimai, based on what? Midika Mahadre Rabbanan la Rabbi Yossi, based on what we saw, which was the answer that the rabbis gave to Rabbi Yossi in another machloket, which the Gemara now is going to tell us. The Tanya, because we have a Braita that told us the following. Rabbi Yossi Omer, he said, Ba'ala ne'eman aleha mikal v'chomer, that the husband is trustworthy regarding the sota status of the woman based on the kal v'chomer. Why? Umanida shehi bebeka, okay, bekaret, whereas the husband, okay, were he to have relations with her and he restrains because of a punishment of karet, ba'ala ne'eman aleha, the husband then is trusted with
Don't
her.
make her move.
Okay, what happens? Sota, okay, regarding a sota, shehi belav, that the prohibition there is not a punishment of karet, it's only a punishment of malchus because it's only a love, right? Lo kol shekain, how much more so should he be trustworthy? Okay, amrulo, but the sages then responded. This was the answer the rabbis gave to Rabbi Yossi. Hold on a second, your kal v'chomer doesn't work. Why? Lo, that's not the case. Im amart b'nida shekain yesh la heter. If you're going to give the example of nida, ultimately she's going to become available to him and permissible to him. Okay? Tomar b'sota, are you going to make the parallel and say she'ein la heter? Whereas sota, she's never going to be never ever going to be available?
She's guilty.
Okay, assuming that she would be found guilty. All right, what happens? V'iyamat la'achar stira. And if you're going to say, we're talking about it after the seclusion, machula, okay, that's when the warning is nullified, right? Mishkachad la diyesh la heter. Would we find then that she would be permitted?
He takes back.
Right.
Now she's no longer ushered.
Right? De'ibai machile leknuye de'ubayu. Because then if he wanted, all right, he could have taken it back and relations. Elashmamina, but therefore we learn from this, la'achar stira eino machul shmamina, that after the seclusion, there is no retraction.
So
That's
now
what
you
we
have to
learn.
question why they had to be Talmidei Chacham.
Okay. All right. So that would still be the question. They can't simply say to him, take back your warning. Now, we come back to our piece from our Mishnah. Metu ba'alehen ad shalosh shatu. Okay, that the husbands, die of any woman that's brought for sota, not just right? Okay, until before she drank. Beit Shammai v'chulei, etc. B'mai kemifligei. So what is the argument between Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel here? We're going to see. The Gemara spells it out for us. Beit Shammai savre. Beit Shammai is of the opinion shtar ha'omed legavot ki gavui dame, that a document that is about to be, from which can be collections, namely she has a lien on his estate, on his property through the kasuba, and therefore they say she's got the lien. That's a valid claim.
Beit Shammai says she can't collect. On what basis do they say that?
Right.
Since they hold that she should collect.
She should collect. She should be able to collect normally, but in this case, that's the issue. But what happens is we go to the next Amud. Beit Hillel Savrei, and Beit Hillel is of the opinion shtar ha'omed legabot lav ki gabui dam. That's not the case. That it is not a situation where it's collective. Me'uberet chavero. we now come to another piece from our Mishnah that said that the pregnant woman or the nursing woman, okay, from a neighbor or
From a
friend,
previous husband.
okay, right? What happens? Amar Rav Nachman, says Rav Nachman, Amar Rabba bar Abu, name of Rabba bar Abu, Machloket bi akara uzekena. Okay, that the argument is with regards to when we listed these women who are not able to or concerned about birth or giving or not able to give birth, we're saying it dealt with a woman who was akara, which by the way was not the lashon of our Mishnah. Okay, all right, or is a kena, or an elder woman, but not the Ilonis, and that's what it says. Aval Ilonis, divrei hakol lo shata v'lo notelet ketubata. But in regards to Ilonis, a woman who she has not reached any physical signs of female
She's
maturity,
incapable
okay,
physically.
and therefore cannot give birth. Shenamar, why? Okay, because we have a pasuk that tells us v'nakta v'nizra'ah zera, that she must be able to have
She
to
must be able to
conceive,
give birth in
to
order
conceive.
to be tested
Okay.
in this manner.
Mi shedarka lahazriya, it must be one then who can conceive, okay, and give birth. Yatzta yatzazo she'ein darka lahazriya. We exclude then one who is not able to give birth, conceive and give birth. Okay, so we're just going to finish up real quick. Meitive, but we'll bring a challenge, an objection. Hamikaneh la'arusato l'shomeret yabam shalom. One who gives a warning to his betrothed or to his sister-in-law that he's waiting for, right? What happens? Im ad shelo kansa nistara. If it was up before the time that he basically
He married her.
took her in marriage, right? And then she secluded herself. Lo shota v'lo notelet ketubata. She does not drink. In other words, he can't bring her sota exam. Okay, and she does not receive her ksuba. We'll just go over to the top of the here basically. Kafvav uberet kavero umineket kavero. In regard to the woman who is pregnant from a first husband or nursing and from her
That
first
baby.
husband, right? Lo shotot v'lo notlot ketubah divrei Rabbi Meir. According to Rabbi Meir, she does not get the sota exam or get a ketubah. So we're going to tomorrow. We'll go more into what Rabbi Meir was.
But she's still rich.
Oh, yeah.
She got a ksuba from the
The
husband.
from the first husband.
Yeah.
I don't know if she would be rich. She's able to
Well, in
live
those days, 200 zuz was a lot of money. That you could live on that.
for a year. That's why I wouldn't call it rich.
75 years.